everybody, it's Annette here with Ghosts and Getaways. Today is Wednesday, October 9th, and for the last week I have been on the Norwegian Jade. We cruised out of Boston into New England and Canada. My poor girl, can you hear her back there? She got a little bit of something while we were here. Anyway, had a really good time on this cruise. It's my dad's 75th birthday, and so he wanted to do a cruise, and so that's what we did. But of course, being me, I had to squeeze in the paranormal stuff as well. So, the first stop that we had was Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, and I really love that place. Super cute. As I recall, roughly 45,000 residents on the island. They had a lot of scarecrows out because they do a scarecrow festival in October, and it kind of reminded me of Salem with all the witchy stuff, and so it kind of gave this Salem type of vibe, only scarecrows. I don't know, maybe that doesn't make sense, but that's just how it hit me. But there were many historic buildings over there. Lots of cool history there. We did a trolley tour. He told us quite a bit about some of the historic houses and the people that built them, and the families, the prominent families that were there that settled the island early. It was really a good place. I could see that as a place for a girls' trip or something. I don't know why, that's what I felt like. But anyway, so we did that, had a really good time. The second visit was to Halifax. And, you know, I kind of feel like maybe that was my favorite place, but I don't know, it's hard to tell because we had such a good time at all the places. But Halifax, we went to Peggy's Cove, which is this beautiful area. There's a lighthouse there, the rocks and, you know, waves crashing, and it was just beautiful, and you could hear the water, and so peaceful. It's a little bit risky walking out on those rocks. It's very uneven, and they get slippery, and there's a set of rocks, black rocks, that they told us to stay away from because many people over years, I don't know how long, but many people had actually fallen in and like died there, you know, whatever. But so with Dre being so unstable on her feet, we didn't even go close to those at all. They had a bagpiper out there, and it was just a really amazing place. Had really good lobster roll out there. But the Titanic Cemetery was the second half of that tour. 122 people buried there. Many of them had no name on the grave marker. They were not identified or unidentifiable. But you know, everyone knows the story of the Titanic, and so I wanted to see the cemetery, so that was pretty cool. The cemetery itself is called Fairview or Fairlawn. I don't remember right off the top of my head. It's not called Titanic Cemetery, but that's where they are within that cemetery. So anyway, it was a really beautiful, well-maintained cemetery, and not just the Titanic section, but all of it was just a really beautiful, peaceful place for those who are buried there. So that was for Halifax, Nova Scotia. The next stop was St. John, New Brunswick, Bay of Fundy, Fundy. And it was really interesting because the trolley tour that we had there, the driver and the guide advised us on what made that so unique. And that's the thing, is that because of the tide, the river initially flows over the bay, okay? And then as the tide adjusts and does its thing during the day, there comes a point where the river and the bay are level or equal. And that's when the ships can go through. And then as the day progresses, then it flips from the river flowing over the bay to the bay flowing over the river. And the full cycle is roughly, I think he said 12 hours and 24 minutes, something like that. So that's how often the ships can pass through. So pretty interesting there. Lots of, oh my goodness, I can't even tell you the number of the historic homes, Victorian homes. I mean, just all kinds of beautiful historic structures out there. Gorgeous. I wouldn't mind spending more time actually at all 3 of the ports in Canada. And I really feel like Canada is underrated. Now, I've been to Canada before, Toronto, whatever. Spent a week there a long time ago. But, you know, the more I learned about Canada, the more I feel like as if Canada really is underrated as far as a vacation destination. I think the next time I go to Canada, I'm going to go to Vancouver, check that out, you know, go on that side, and I don't know, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff over there. So then today, our last stop was today, and we were in Portland, Maine, and beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And maybe it's just because I'm from Texas and we don't have any of this. You know, for me it was just really fun to see these places. You know, it's cooler up here. I think in St. John the high was like 55 or something. And it rained a little bit even. Every place we went to was much cooler than it is at home. I talked to my mom a couple days ago, and I think on that particular day it was almost 95, which was obscene in October. Not uncommon in Texas, but I'm really ready for some cooler temperature. But I really enjoyed the nice cooler weather, just, you know, being on the coast so much, having so much seafood, learning so much about the history of all of the things that, you know, we just don't have in Texas. Today, the big deal for me was the old fort, Fort Scammel, which is on House Island. And it's not very far from Portland, from the coast of Portland, Maine. The boat ride out there was maybe 20 minutes. I didn't time it, but it wasn't very long. And the fort is just amazing. It's ruins. It's not a functioning fort, of course, but they do have campouts out there with yurts and stuff. I think that'd be kind of cool to do like a paranormal camp out and be able to investigate the fort and all that stuff. But it was built early 1800s. It was the only fort, according to the description, the only fort that actually saw combat in the bay, in that area. Is the only one that saw combat. But the tour today made it sound like it was just minimal combat. So I don't know that there were casualties. Well, I take it back. There is a cemetery on the north half of the island. It's shaped like an hourglass, and one half of it is like private property. And so there's a cemetery there. I'm out on the balcony looking at the waves and stuff. There's a cemetery there with 22 graves, and he said all but one are unmarked, and the one that is marked is a man that died during the War of 1812. But being on private property, we couldn't get to it. So I was hoping, I had to ask, you never know, right? So anyway, I learned a lot about the fort. Unfortunately, that is where I had a little accident. Inside the fort, there is a room there's no windows or anything, so it's pitch black. You have to go in with lanterns, which they had lanterns for us. But there's a ditch, and he told us there was a ditch, and I knew there was a ditch in there, but I was so worried about keeping Andrea from falling into the ditch. I myself got too close and fell into the ditch, and really hit hard on my left side of my body, my hand, hip, knee, and ankle, and I really screwed up my ankle. So I don't know. I'll find out tomorrow when I get it checked out. But anyway, that was the highlight for me, was the fort. So anyway, I will be vlogging and making some videos on all kinds of things here in the next week or so. So be sure you check back, and you know, if you have any questions, feel free to message me and reach out. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.